Temidayo Agongo-Williams, a former federal prosecutor who served as a senior investigative counsel on the January 6th committee. Catherine Christian, former prosecutor for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and they join me now. It's good to have you here.
Glad to be here.
As someone who worked in that Manhattan DA's office, can we talk about the mugshot?
Yes.
I'm of two minds about the mugshot. I think, I remember having conversations with people where I realized the mugshot was a very American thing. Like, they don't have mugshots in other countries. And it always seems, in the way that it's used in the New York Post and in the tabloids and run, it sort of presumes guilt in its form, right? Like the mugshot, looms. It looms on the cover of tabloids. It looms. There's always something to me that's sort of gross about the use of that. At the same time, it's been notable that Donald Trump has not had to face the music on that score. And it's a small thing, but watching this does feel like there's, in terms of how Fani Willis is handling this, there's a real kind of equal justice under law kind of vibe here.
Exactly. So the other three indictments, Mr. Trump, a mugshot wasn't taken. The rationale was the reason to take the mugshot is in case the defendant flees, then you can find him. And everyone knows what Donald Trump looks like. But on the other hand...
A fair and not ridiculous argument.
But on the other hand, as you said, everyone has their mugshot taken. And why shouldn't he? And why shouldn't Mr. Giuliani and all of the other defendants? And Georgia, the sheriff made it clear at the beginning, unless someone tells me different, everyone's going to get their mugshot taken.
What do you think about it, Temidayo?
I think one of the principles about all these cases is that no one is above the law and that everyone, including a former president, should be treated the same in front of a court. And I think the mugshot is symbolic. Yes, we all know how Donald Trump looks, but he should be subjected to the same scrutiny and regulations and everything else of every other everyday citizens. And I think that's what it represents here.
Same with the bond, right? I mean, that's the other thing that's interesting, right? Like, they've negotiated $200,000. All these folks are bonding out. I mean, there's, and this cash bail has been a subject of tremendous policy controversy. I think it's largely, again, not a great practice. I think it's been overused. But in the, watching Giuliani go to a bail bondsman, is like, you're a New Yorker.
Folk. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Like, there is something about that, I don't know, it really hits.
And even the fact, and it's horrible, these conditions in that jail.
They're terrible.
They're terrible. But you know what? There are thousands of people who are there now and who are going through it. And, now, hello, America, this is what it looks like. And because these are white-collar defendants who usually don't have to see that, now they're seeing a little touch of that.
Let's talk about this Chesebro filing here, which is sort of interesting. I mean, so far, I think our general assumption has been everyone's going to want to kick the can. They want to take it long. They want to let Donald Trump get elected president. Maybe he could work some magic, even though it's a Georgia state law it's being prosecuted under. Chesebro says, I want to be tried in December. What do you make of that?
I think it's a choice here that he's testing the DA, right? She's expecting Donald Trump wants to push this out as far as possible. And he's saying, are you ready right now? Can you go as fast as possible? And I think what he's also trying to do is separate himself from President Trump. The entire strength of the case is that there is a massive criminal conspiracy, former President Trump at the top and all his minions at the bottom. Now he's saying, I want to go first. Try me, perhaps even by myself. Show the evidence of the story that has to do with just me. Don't bring in evidence about Trump. Don't try the President Trump case. Try my case. And I think if that works, it has a possibility of weakening the jury appeal because you don't get to tell the whole story from top to bottom. You're telling his story, which is going to be a little bit more limited.
Well, and this gets to the idea of the 19 co-defendants and all being tried together, which Fani Willis at that press conference on the day that these charges were announced said she's going to do. A lot of legal experts have said there's no way it's going to happen. Where do you sit on that?
Well, also, I think he's going to sort of lose that calling the bluff. Because, first of all, what he's giving up, his defense attorney, he's not going to have motions. Is he really saying, I'm not going to move to suppress evidence? Is he really saying, I'm not going to spend months looking at the discovery to find inconsistent statements or possibly exculpatory material?
You think it's a bluff?
I think it's a bluff. And if she calls the bluff, well, then guess what?
Let's do it.
That's right. And now you're on trial, and you're like, you're stuck with all the evidence that you didn't move to suppress. And you know what? It's not. These prosecutors who spent 2.5 years investigating it, their opening and their summations have already been written. If not on paper, it's in their head. And if he decides to suddenly say, oh, never mind, I'm not ready, well, that's the end of that. then no judge will ever listen to him again when he says he wants a speedy trial.
What do you think about the plan? I mean, when you read through the 100-page indictment, one of the things that the document, I think, does well is it sort of conceives of it as a unified whole, even though there are many different aspects to the conspiracy. And in some cases, I think a lot of people weren't even in contact with each other. That's the strength, as Timmy Dio said, of the conceit of this as a RICO case and of the conceit of 19 defendants. You tell the whole story at once. What do you think about that, the possibility of that?
Well, you mean of trying it alone or trying it all?
Are they going to be able to try 19 defendants? Everyone
what's
says
going to happen,
that's
and I'm
not gonna
sure he's experienced this, I did, when you did conspiracy, people drop off because they plead guilty. They cooperate. So you end up not with 19 defendants. Sometimes you'll end up with a firing squad where they're all shooting at each other, a circular firing squad, because it's like, I only did this little piece. Why am I stuck with, Trump?
Right.
I'm only the middle person, So there will not be 19 defendants on trial.
That's a really important point. It actually brings up the next thing I want to talk about, which is about cooperation. Because to your point of, we're not going to get to 19 because some people. And when you look at the mugshot lineup that we have, these are people who vastly vary in wealth, stature, public support, public notoriety, the degree to which they can deal with, can hire, the best lawyers, and whose exposure varies quite a bit. And you got to imagine they're going to start making some individual calculations.